This is the Patriots Prayer podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
Soon on the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.
America's falling, they all say. Gather the faithful now and pray. The Patriots Prayer. The Patriots Prayer. All the wicks are trimmed, oil is filled to the brim. I have to change it somehow. I'm the radical now. America's falling, they all say. Gather the faithful now and pray. The Patriots Prayer.
Good morning, Patriots. Afternoon, wherever you're at. I just want to take a dive into the onslaught of this just bombardment of crazy news after crazy news. Mainly, like Tim Walz and Kamala. People are wondering. People really want to know. Do these guys understand what they're doing? I mean, do they think about these choices before they make them? I mean, seemingly you have the two most unpopular people in the Democratic Party on the Democratic ticket. One guy lying about his military service. I'm going to jump into a clip. I'm going to show you future Vice President J.D. Vance, and listen to what he has to say about this situation. Take a look.
President J.D. Vance taking aim at Governor Walz's military record and this video.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Walz never served in combat.
When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him.
It's come up before as Walz has run for office in Minnesota.
I'm retired Command Sergeant Major Tom Behrens from Brewster, Minnesota.
Tom Behrens accused Walz in 2018 and again in this 2022 news conference of bailing on his troops before they got sent to Iraq.
Yeah.
He claims they knew as early as March 2005 their unit would be deployed, yet Walz chose to retire first.
He knew damn well what was going to be going on, and that's why in May he was gone.
Here was Walz's response.
We all do what we can. I'm proud. I did 24 years. I have an honorable record. I served with literally thousands of people.
He said he retired after 24 years in the Guard to run for Congress.
And I simply moved on to try and serve something else.
Carol Levin asked the Minnesota National Guard for the timeline. They told us Walz retired in May 2005. Walz's unit, the 125 Field Artillery Battalion, received an alert order 2 months later, in July 2005, and their mobilization order came in August 2005.
He did his duty.
Others who served with Walz defend him. Joseph Eustace, a 32-year Guard member, told us he spoke.
Listen, cowards will stand by cowards. It's that simple. He didn't stop there, right? It wasn't just that comment. There were a multitude of comments. There was a thing that he retired with, and not true. That he carried a specific type of an assault rifle or military style weapon in battle in Afghanistan. He's never seen a battlefield. I mean, we used to frown upon this. This kind of thing right here would immediately. Remember the days when people in public office would feel shame and resign because they understood, there was a certain amount of decorum that must become you in order to hold such an office. You should be held to a standard. Well, I believe the Democratic Party has erased the standard. They don't have standards. They don't stand for a damn thing. The only thing that they stand for is making sure you can't stand for anything. If you stand for something, they won't stand for it. That's essentially who they are. That's what they are. The party is corrupt. They're bankrupting our morals. They have no integrity. And you just don't expect much out of them as a party. I mean, if you talk about the worst of things that people with I would say a moral code, something that has, been around forever, a standard, I keep going back to, because I can't really, it's a damn standard. This is right. This is wrong. This is good. This is bad. When you think about the party who violates all of those traditional that have been around before me, before you, it's always the left. If we're talking about CRT, we're talking about the left. If we're talking about DEI, we're talking about the left. If we're talking about child indoctrination and censorship, we're talking about the left. We're talking about child mutilation and bills that would take away a parent's rights. We're talking about the left. If we're talking about subversive groups inside of social media companies trying to censor a conservative point of view, we're talking about the left. If we're talking about policies, we're not talking about the left. We're talking about lack of policies. We are. The onslaught of immigration across our southern border and their failure, just abject failure to stand there and act as if President Trump is the reason that the border is in the condition that it's in. I mean, I just don't understand how you can do that and look yourself in the mirror or say it with a straight face. President Trump had enacted border policies that if they were still in effect today and not signed out or gotten, erased with a stroke of a pen by, Biden in the first couple of weeks of his presidency, where he just kind of locked himself in a room, undoing all of the Trump era policies, which led to this onslaught of crime. It led to this onslaught of just attack on the family. Our legal system doesn't work. There are people right now that have committed murders because of a cashless bail policy put in place by the left. A policy that hurts their constituents, a policy of defund the police, which hurts their constituents. It's those people in those impoverished communities that they act like they serve. They act like they give a damn. They act like they care. When in fact, their policies are the ones that make sure Baltimore is in the state that it's in. New Jersey, New York, Wisconsin, Minnesota, California, pick a city. And then you go and you see Kamala's little shindig she had last night here in Vegas. I wanted to go. I'll be honest. I thought about it. I said, should I just show up and just sit in the corner and listen, get a little bit of content, talk to some people? And then I knew, I said, I can't do it. Can't do it. Why? That sign right there. For as satirical as that sign is, it's pretty spot on. I could not sit there and listen to them spew lie after lie, knowing full well the thing that they're trying to do is get rid of my God out of my country, tear apart the family in my country, indoctrinate children in my country, create public policy that makes it legal for them to do so in a lot of cases. Sonny, appreciate you. But no, man, it's time for people to wake up. It's time for people to see who they really are. And the political right, the ideological right, the conservative base, the actual conservatives, right? Because I believe the Democratic Party, and I'll digress for a second here, but I believe the Democratic Party has invested in getting a bunch of people registered as Republicans that are not Republicans. Not long ago, they were trying to get petitions signed that would allow them to allow either party to vote in either party's primary. We would never, ever, ever vote in anyone that is good for our country ever again if they allowed that to happen. Because you would have candidates like Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan and Liz Cheney. And that's what you'd get. That's what you get. That would be the norm. The establishment goon who doesn't give a damn about what you're going through in life. They don't know the Constitution. I remember, this is so funny, but I remember Ron Paul in that debate stage. Ron Paul, my political hero. I love this guy, Mr. No. That was his tagline. That's what they called him, was his nickname, however. And I remember that debate stage, and I remember Mitt Romney standing next to Ron Paul and being asked a question about the Constitution. And Mitt Romney turned around and said, well, I don't know it, but I'm sure Mr. Paul here does. And he let Ron Paul answer the question. My question is if you don't know the Constitution, how the hell are you going to uphold it? That's my question. If you don't have a CPA, how are you going to be if you don't have your degree, how can you do XYZ? If you don't have the knowledge to be in the position you're in, why are you in it? Doesn't take a genius to see the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is nothing more than a party for political figures to get in and initiate a power grab. No one knows what the hell these people really feel or think. Hell, they don't know. They have no clue. They have no platform. I mean, you know, I oftentimes I offer leftists that have differing opinions expressed really passionately in my direction. I say, hey, if you think you can actually defend that, I'll give you equal time and debate you. I'm one of those technical guys that actually reads the documentation and dives deeper into the news stories, looks at the legislation directly. And I don't want to, you know, I might hear someone's interpretation of what it says for, you know, listening purposes and to get a point of view. But soon thereafter, I'm pulling up the actual bill and I'm reading it. I'm educating myself. I'm not letting someone tell me how to feel, think, and believe. The left does. The left does. They're not researched. In a lot of cases, what we say about them is that they convict us of thought crimes. And I stand by that statement because it's true. Most of the things that they try to convict the the conservative base of is knowing what their intentions are, knowing what's in their heart. That's why that word racist comes up a lot. It does. It comes up a lot. And all that does is tear apart our country. I said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to know who the real enemy of our country is, the provocateurs, the ones that really pull the wool over people's eyes because they're lying to them and exacerbating their hysteria. They're brainwashing the public by not telling them the truth. That's our media. It's not your politician. It's not your president. It's not your vice president. It's not your city councilman. It's not your congressman. It's not your senator. They can do whatever they do. But if the media were honest and true, the moment that they lied, there would be an anchorman right there with the facts. He wouldn't give a damn what political party did it. He would just report the fact that this man lied. Here's the truth. Here's what you need to know, because the journalists are supposed to be about the truth. Truth is supposed to matter most. Well, Obama saw fit to remove any of that. Smith-Mundt Act basically allows news stations now to espouse propaganda. Section 230 allows social media companies to censor people at will without reason or just cause. In a lot of cases, you'll be streaming or doing what we do, and you get a strike, and they'll just say content violation, whatever, right? Terms of service, community guidelines, whatever the hell it is. Well, what it really boils down to is typically a differing opinion. And that differing opinion is usually against the political right. This is why I'm extremely happy. I'll be the first to admit it. In the offset of what Twitter did, what Elon Musk did when the news came out that he was partnering with GARM, I was like, it didn't make any sense to me, because he previously was suing them and doing all sorts of, and I'm like, why the hell would X partner with GARM? And then today it comes out that they're shut down because of the suitcase that Elon Musk filed. So you know what? I have an apology to issue, because back then I was like a little circumspect. I didn't realize, I didn't know. It's like, what is he doing? It makes no sense. Still, it does leave a question mark. Like, why partner with him and then shut him down? But at least they're shut down. They got caught censoring conservative views and using advertising dollars to do it. What's going on, Leslie? I'm just very, very happy to see a company like GARM gone. We need more. And this next legislative body that comes about after this election takes place, there is so much work to do. So much work to do. But as a content creator, as a truth teller, as the creator of the Patriots Prayer Network and trying to facilitate multiple personalities, giving them platforms, giving them a way to push the truth out into the ether, I want to see Section 230 repealed. It's an outdated policy applied only to message boards. The internet has came a long way since message boards. So what I would like to see is social media fair and unbiased without a political agenda. That's what I would like to see. That's what I'd like to see. Now, everybody wondered, well, we all knew, just switching gears here for a second, everyone knew that Biden was forced off the Democratic ticket. And since then, he's been kind of a recluse. He was a recluse before. We never seen the guy, right? So now he does an interview with CBS, and he says some interesting things, and he brings up some interesting names. So let's take a quick watch at the Biden interview on CBS. I'm going to play a snippet for you.
We're living through history.
We really are.
Let's begin with your decision. You're at your home, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, late July with your family, and you make this historic decision. Tell me the story.
Well, look, the polls we had showed that it was a neck-and-neck race. Would have been down to the wire. But what happened was a number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did someone, and
why did Nancy Pelosi say? Did he just have a little Freudian slip? Did we find out who was actually behind the ousting of Joe Biden? And is that why she recently went on the interview? She went on an interview, and in that interview, she talked about Biden being put on Mount Rushmore. Was that her kiss ass apology? I think that was her kiss ass apology. Now, a few days ago, Maurice and I were doing our regular show, and I was doing some research, and I was looking into Tim Walz, and I assumed that Tim Walz was a member of the DSA. He just sounds too DSA-ish, right? And what I did find is that he is a member of the DFL. And for those of you who don't know, and I want to be very specific here about, you know, what the DFL is. This guy, let's just discuss a little background on him, shall we? He's lived in China. He's very China-centric, as Big T would say, right? Very China-centric. And so then it comes out that he hosted an imam, Muslim Islam guy, who is very, like, avidly proud of October the 7th. And so one thing alone doesn't paint a picture. But when you have a bunch of consistently said things, done things, company kept, find out how China-centric this guy is, find out who he's hanging out with, find out the policies that he's enacted, how they're detrimental to the family. And you'll most likely you're going to get a good, real good depiction of what that guy thinks, feels, and what he stands for. So let's talk about the DFL. And I pulled this definition up. The the Farmer Labor Party is a political party in the U.S. in the state of Minnesota. It was formed in 1944 through a merger between the Minnesota Democratic Party and the Farmer Labor Party, a progressive political party that has been influential in the state during the 30s. The DFL is associated with the National Democratic Party and generally aligns with its principles. They advocate for a range of progressive policies, including the labor rights, social justice. So labor rights means socialism, if you just don't understand the keywords here. Environmental protection, climate Nazi, and a public welfare program. So basic what do they call that? It's when they send you a certain amount of check, basic universal income. That's what it is. And the DFL has been a dominant political force in Minnesota, often competing in the with the the Republican Party in that state for state government. The party's produced notable political figures such as Vice President Hubert Humphrey and Walter Mondale. Ooh, okay. Yeah, and as well as presidential candidate Amy Klobuchar. So you get kind of a picture of who they are, right? And then if you take a look and realize they existed back in the 30s. So in the 30s, there was a contingency of people that actually were very hand in hand, really hand in hand with the Nazi Party. For those of you who don't know, prior to World War II, the Nazi Party actually rented out the Radio City Music Hall. It was a whole thing. They were popular here in the United States. And a lot of those people that were in this, involved in this, later on went on to become Democratic organizations. And a lot of the Democrats themselves, if they can be traced back to these types of organizations. So I'm just trying to paint a picture here so that you understand who these people really are. And like I said, if you take a look at somebody who they hang out with today, and they might be around someone, that might not define them. But when it's consistently those same people, those same types of people, you're openly advocating for illegal immigration, saying you want it, in fact, saying that if we build a 25-foot wall, you'll invest in a 30-foot ladder company. You lied about your military service. You lied about why you got out of the military service. You're obviously a coward. Your battalion deployed in July. You retired in May, or opted out in May, but you didn't retire, Master Sergeant. You didn't. So the reality of it is you lied about your military service. You lied about serving your country, and now you're trying to get elected to run your country. I got that right. This is outlandish. This is outlandish. Nobody who neglects to go to war when called should be able to run our country. The probability based on what we see going on in the world right now, Russia has declared us an enemy, sitting 90 miles off our coast with nuclear submarines and warships. China's moving closer and closer to something with Taiwan. I would have assumed that by now, with Biden still in office, that they would act why we got oatmeal brains before they get in a staunch candidate in there. Somebody who'll stand up to him, somebody who'll take a hard line. Same with Putin. Why wouldn't he just go in and take Ukraine now and actually go take it? This little piddle-paddle war that they're having with Ukraine to make it seem like it's an actual fight. People, it's not. It's a foregone conclusion that Ukraine, right? If Ukraine was in the United States as compared to Russia, just to give you the contrast of how little Ukraine is versus Russia, they would be like Florida, and the rest of the whole United States is Russia. You really think that Russia just can't go in there and take that place? It would have been so smart for Zelensky to agree to those peace talks when Putin offered them. But who stopped them? Who stopped them? Biden. Biden put the kibosh on it. And Boris, guy from England, I forget his last name. In any case, they went over and they put the kibosh. They essentially said, we're going to cut the purse strings. We're going to cut the purse strings. If you continue, if you go talk to this guy, if you shut this war down, it's over. You know why? And I bet you, I just, in my bones, if I were to guess, I would say the reason why is pretty damn basic. They're NATO puppets. This is a NATO proxy war. Why are they arguing for a ceasefire in Israel, in the Gaza situation? But in this particular region, they are doing their best to exacerbate and make worse the conditions of war in those areas by feeding it, by supporting it. No, it's very simple. NATO. That's the reason why. NATO is the reason why. And let's go a little bit further. Let's just go to yesterday. We don't have to go too far back this week. Kamala Harris. How funny. She's saying no taxes on tips now. I know you guys heard it. Everyone heard it. We immediately jumped on it everywhere on social media. It's pretty damn laughable that the lady is saying no taxes on tips in an election bid. Because I had some waterhead chime in on the comments that I was making about this situation, saying, well, no one said she disagreed with the policy, but no one said she was running on it either, dumbass. I mean, really? It's pretty ludicrous to have your political opponent run on a specific policy, and then you turn around and start saying that same thing when you've never said it before. Never. Two guys, what's up? I don't know if it's Jim. I don't know if it's Dale, but welcome in, guys. Great to see you. Lisa, good to see you. I got into what I was doing. I didn't welcome you guys in, man. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I'm just kind of going through the headlines here, and some of this stuff is absolutely laughable. I mean, did you see all the censoring going on in the Olympics? I forget who it was. One of the people got gold, and she did this long speech thanking God, mentioning Jesus by name. They edited every single word of it where she mentioned God's name. They edited it. They told one surfer that if he did not, change out surfboards that didn't have the image of Jesus on it, he wouldn't be allowed to compete. People, this is a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle. There's no mistaking. This is those things that you see happening are demonic. It's the devil's handiwork. That's what it is. Who else wants to mutilate children? Who else wants to break up the family? Who else wants sexual confusion? Who else wants chaos and destruction and tearing down in an agenda that leads to nowhere but death? There's only one person who delights in that sort of thing. Only one person who likes that sort of thing. God of this world, it's Satan. It's Satan. You know what? As a Christian, I would definitely say, without a doubt, I am certain that whoever the Antichrist is, he's already here right now. The things that are going on right now in our world are so easily tied back to prophecy. It's not funny. I'm not going to get into a big Bible lesson or anything like that, but I love my Bible. I like the prophecies. I like to talk about those things, and that's something that I might do at a later time when I'm just on a show dedicated to that exact thing. Right? Ezekiel 38:39. If you don't know about it, go read it. Look what's going on in Israel to see how close it is to happening. So there's a man handed the second longest prison sentence yet for his role in the J6 riots. And it's a California man, and which is wild in itself. I know we got some staunch conservatives in California still, but man, I don't know why you guys stay there. Get the hell out of there. What are you doing? So let's take this out. So it says a California man was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his role in J6 riot at the U.S. Capitol, second longest sentence yet in the prosecutions of riot participants. This is David Nicholas Dempsey. He pleaded guilty in January to 2 counts of assaulting a police officer with a dangerous weapon. It landed him a sentence only surpassed by Proud Boys Enrique Tarrio, which is a 22-year sentence. And that guy wasn't even there. Like, he wasn't even in D.C. They came to him like, hey, we want you to say these things about Trump and put it out there. And he said no. He said no. The next thing you know, they're arresting him. 22 years. Meanwhile, Ray Epps is standing out in front of the crowd, egging him to go into the Capitol, whispering in someone's ear, having them tear gates down. You know, just inciting riot. That's exactly what he did. But he misdemeanor, 1 year probation. After all of the onslaught, all the pushback from the people saying, this is the only guy we have on camera actually inciting a riot, actually saying out loud what he wants done, and actively going there and trying to make it happen, not just the day of, but in the days leading up to this. That was not his first day there. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. So listen, these guys that did these things on January the 6th, many of them were just regular people. Many of them were just folks that got caught up in something that didn't agree with that something that happened or the way that it happened. And there were people that were arrested that didn't even go inside the Capitol, which is a fact. What is this? So I thought somebody was saying I needed my camera fixed, and I don't know if my video is coming over the way that it should. It's clear as a bell on my side, so I'm hoping you're not telling me I need my camera fixed on. In any case, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things that took place that day, and to paint everybody with the same broad brush is disingenuous. It's not true. It's not right. And they use this, the left uses this, and will continue to use the events of that day to try to paint the entire right, the entire MAGA movement, even though there were many members of Antifa there, many members of Antifa, and just as many people that were Trump supporters out front telling police officers, hey, do something about this. This is not what we stand for. The police coming in with no badge number to sheet, with their faces covered up, tear gassing and antagonizing the crowd intentionally. And then at the end of it, they just pulled the gates back and let people in, and then started arresting them for walking in when they were let in. Now, I'm not saying that it was not everybody. I'm not telling you that the guys that went up there and busted windows out and did all those things didn't do that. I'm not telling you that those things didn't happen. What I'm telling you is that there were a lot of people there that day, and not all of them were there for the same reason. Plain and simple. They weren't. And then you have people that pretend that they went there that day and were of a certain political persuasion, but after that day, they changed their political affiliation because of the things that occurred. You were never that. You were never a conservative. You were never a member of the MAGA movement. Not ever. And I'm sure that, I've already had people debate me over this issue, but it's the truth. It is the absolute truth. No one is ever going to be in the MAGA party for real and be completely 100% politically on the right, and then have some aha moment and say, oh yeah, let's not know what a woman is, and let's not let's start mutilating children and teaching racism and censoring people because it's for the good of the people. You are never going to be one of us and then turn into that. You were always that. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. The only difference is that you just didn't know what you stood for. Like most leftards, you just don't know what you stand for. You don't know what you stand for. So there's that. There's that. But yeah, Biden admitting that, saying Nancy Pelosi's name outside. That's crazy to me that, Biden has a way of these Freudian slips. He says things like, remember the Nord Stream the pipeline? And he said it wouldn't be there. 2 weeks later, it wasn't. And he said, I didn't do that. Sure, you had nothing to do with that. These guys tell you what they're going to do. They telegraph every punch. Now, here's a kicker for you. So yesterday in Vegas, everybody coming into the Kamala Harris event that happened, they could not go into the event without presenting their ID. Think about that for a second. This is the same political party. This is the same one that says you can vote, you can do anything you want without an ID. You can't come in here unless I know who you are. Hypocrite much? Because that's what it is. It's very hypocritical. Once again, these people don't have a standard, a moral code, a platform to which they stand on. There are no policies. And when they do try to enact policies that lean toward something agreeable, like the border bill, right? The border bill, the way it was written out, what the Democrats put forward, with the way it was written out, it was agreeable. If you were to read this border bill, this bipartisan border bill, they called it, you wouldn't find anything in the actual border portion of it that you would disagree with. The problem is they always put all this pork spending and other agendas in those bills that have nothing to do about or nothing to do with the bill itself. So the Republicans didn't vote for it. And then they said, the Republicans didn't vote for the bipartisan border bill. Of course not. Of course not. Why would we? Why would we? So, I mean, this is typical. This is typical. And by the way, I don't want to let this whole episode go by without shouting out Maurice's wife, Lady Patriot, and say happy birthday. So they're celebrating her birthday today. Guys, I hope you have a great time. If you're listening somewhere, wherever you're at, I know Maurice has been in a little contact today. So have a great day. Have fun. You know, don't get too drunk. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I'm just saying that. Don't get too far gone. Now, you know, if anybody's watching these things, that what I'm getting ready to show you, this is very real. I'm going to tell you, this is one of the craziest damn things I've ever seen. Absolutely nuts. I couldn't believe it when I saw the story this morning. I couldn't believe it was real. Saw it on X, then I saw it again on a news site, and I'm like, this is real. I was blown away. And what I'm talking about right now is the Secret Service. The Secret Service broke in. They listen to me. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. The Secret Service broke in to a place of business. But before they did, they put duct tape on. This is the Secret Service, folks. Do you hear me again? The Secret Service committed a break-in and entering on a local business and then had to issue an apology. I'm sorry. So if I break into this business, do I just get to apologize? It's okay. I'm sorry. Won't happen again. And that's all. That's it. Really? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. So as you see, he's got some duct tape in his right hand or her right hand. I'm not sure. I think that's a her. But I don't know. Democrats stand like that. Gender they are. I assume that's a female though. She's gonna stroll back to the car. She's scoping the area out. Obviously, she's scoping the area out. And then, what do you know? Stands on a chair. I don't know why they're blurring out her face. We should know who this person is. We should know. If it was you or me, our face would be front and center on this video. But there it is. Put duct tape over the camera. Left it there. The duct tape was on the camera for like 2 hours. And they left with it there. They left the front door of this business open. And now those are the people right there that are the business owners when they came in and they discovered this. What the hell world are we living in? What the hell is going on, people? When we were younger and we watched, certain Twilight Zone shit and, different, just the way the world will be in the last days. And we looked at it like, wow, that's going to happen hundreds of years into the future. But it feels like I can see the beginnings of it now, but it's going to happen way out. We didn't know it was going to happen in 20 years. We didn't know that the world was going to go evil on its head in 20 years. It was that fast. The moral decline. The loss of our national identity, the heart and soul of this country has eroded because of people like this and because we have no accountability. We don't prosecute criminals. We treat taxpayers like victims. We're electing people that belong to subversive groups like the DSA. Why in the hell? Tell me, why in the hell are the people on the right, and I'm talking about our elected officials, but I'll get to the rest of everybody else in a second. Why are they so calm about all this? Like, I don't know what line has to get crossed to wake these people the hell up and make them realize this is a fight. They're not playing by the rules. You know, whatever string you got to pull, whatever emergency thing you got to hit, like, hit the damn thing. Like, let's go. Let's realize we're in a culture war. We're in a soft, you know, I'll refer to what Vivek Ramaswamy said, because I probably won't get away with saying what I believe it actually is. But that's the truth, man. That's the truth. It is one side against the other. It is a fight for our very country, for the heart and soul of who we are as a country, our heritage, our history. Because they keep using this little trigger word that's been around. They started talking about it in the late 50s, early 60s, all the way to now, and they started using it. Democracy. Our democracy. We're not a democracy. There's a good reason we're not a democracy. We should not want to be a democracy. But they know if they keep importing voters and they get their base so built up in mass hysteria throughout the country and brought on by the lies told by the Mockingbird media, they will have a majority, an overwhelming majority in the country. And then perception is power at that point. When they do finally grab said power and everyone believes we're a democracy, they'll start functioning like one. Which means mob rule. That's what it means. It means mob rule. If the majority of people agree with it, that's the law of the land. That's what it is. Damn a constitution, a bill of rights, some amendments, none of that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Not in a democracy. It's one step away from socialism, which is one step away from communism. We need to dial the knob back. I don't know how we're going to do it. Don't know if it can be done. But it needs to be dialed back. We need to undo some things. And I know that there are people on the right that believe, on the left, that believe they're just fighting for their freedoms. It's what they think, because they've been indoctrinated to think that. But they're not fighting for their freedoms. Freedom has standards. It has guidelines. It has boundaries. Doing whatever you want without any guidelines or boundaries, it's not freedom. It's anarchy. It's a country without laws, or a country that fails to enforce laws. This is the stupidity. Yeah. It's exactly right. I'm not going to disagree with you, Robert. I've said this all along. It's a psyop. We've done this to other countries all throughout, the duration the United States has been around. I mean, and most notably, we did it to Iran and chased the Shah out of Iran for damn near 20 years because we had people on the ground that we went in and we infiltrated their society and created subversive groups, which fought against the Islamic Republic for a long time. And those people were freed for a while as a result. But the thing is, what we're doing when we're doing that is we're nation building. And by doing that, we're not garnering any favors in these areas. Why we're hated over there. It doesn't help us to be over there. And you can call me an isolationist, what have you. But that's just the truth. We have our allies in those regions, and that's who we should help. We should stop paying these people who hate us. You're right. Support our rights. You're exactly right. The entire left is a psyop. The ones who are not initiating the psyop are brainwashed. So you're either the pitcher or the catcher, but you're there. You feed off one another. And we got the troll back. It consistently thinks that everything I'm saying I'm projecting when I actually have the receipts. Who teaches CRT? Who's indoctrinating children? Who's putting pornography in the school libraries? Who's pushing puberty blockers? It's only one political party. Just one. It's not both. It's just one. Who's saying that they want that this country, needs all these immigrants and is not doing a damn thing to stop them, but they're handing out taxpayer money and allowing people to bastardize our laws in order to come into our country, falsely claiming asylum instead of doing wait in their own country, which was the law of the land prior. The onslaught of the attack against the heritage of our country is very real. It is popular. It's trendy to hate the American flag. I've literally just recently heard someone say that the American flag is racist. What in the hell is racist about a flag? The stars and stripes. That's ridiculous, because everyone has died for this country. Black, white, Asian, Mexican, doesn't matter. Everyone has stood for, fought by, and laid down their lives for that flag. Listen to this, guys. You want a quick laugh? So the troll is saying this. I'm going to show you on the screen. They're defending. It's defending CRT. CRT is a historical analysis of slavery and systematic oppression of Black people in history. You disagree with the truth? No, dumbass. CRT is not that. It's critical race theory. To say it's that and stop is an absolute lie. The professor that came up with the theory of critical race theory teaches it in basic forms, teaches you what about, and they use many, many different psychological and analytical techniques to basically what it boils down to is this: you are the sum of the color of your skin. It is not about the content of your character, who you are as a person, or what you do. It is not about any of that. It is literally only about the color of your skin and not the content of your character. That's it. If you're Black, you're oppressed. If you're white, you're an oppressor. This is what they teach. And then by doing so, by proxy, they paint one entire race with a broad brush and basically label them in a specific kind of a way. And this is ridiculous. And this is put on by the party that we had to literally fight when Abraham Lincoln got into office to get rid of slavery, because our party said that it was an abomination to own slaves. It was the Republican Party that was the anti-slave party. And I would love to argue about the people that tried to say the party switched. They didn't switch. That was some bullshit tagline that the guys on the left created after one person switched parties in New York when they moved to Texas. That's it. Yeah. And he's right. And so what are you trying to say? I said what I said. CRT is racist. Any law, any policy, any bill aimed at one particular group of people is unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary. Our Constitution has it covered. We're all endowed with inalienable rights given to us by our Maker. All men are created equal. And when it said men, it didn't literally mean by sex or gender. It literally meant all people are created equally. We don't need laws that protect certain people in an effort to make them equal to us, when in fact all that law does is tell us they are not equal to us. They are not equal to us because they have a separated little boundary all around them that keeps them nice and tidy and safe, and safer than you or I. Safe from criticism. Hell, if I took a Bible and I headed over to UNLV and I went into one of their safe places, right? They literally had safe places. And I went and I sat in the back corner of that safe place, not saying anything to anybody. And I might do this. And just crack my Bible and sit there and read. How long do you think it will be before the people in that room tell me I have to leave? But it's a safe place. But what a safe place really is a tagline for conservatives, not allowed. Only whites who hate the white race are allowed. Only people who agree with the LGBTQ agenda are allowed. Only those that are militant are allowed. I don't understand why it is that the party that continues to say they're for the people of a certain political ideology that is completely based on hating another group of people, but yet they can't see that their whole party, their whole platform is hate. That's what they are. It's hate. They hate Donald Trump. For what? For what? Anyone remember the Trump years? Anyone remember the Trump years? Remember the price of your gas? Remember the price of your groceries? Remember law in the streets? There's no projection here. This person said projection again with no receipts. No receipts, no statistics, no nothing. Our country was better off. The world, not just the United States, but the world was better off. Trump has promised to end the war in Ukraine before he even takes office. That's a hell of a claim to make, but he's made it multiple times. I heard him make it in person twice. Twice I heard him make that claim in person. It's a hell of a claim to make. And he can do it. I do not believe that he would have said that if he couldn't do it. He knows something. He knows that he's not a NATO puppet. He asked the hard question. Let me ask you a question. He said, what's NATO? What's the purpose of NATO? Anyone know? Anyone know the purpose of NATO? It was to draw a line in the sand against the USSR. That's what it was for. We fund upwards of 80% of NATO. Unelected officials are there. They start making decisions that affect our daily lives. And in fact, we're funding them. And then they're turning around and funding wars that we don't want to be in. So this person said, so he's bending the knee to the Russian dictator, LOL. No, weirdo, actual weirdo. Your person, Zelensky, just went up to Canada and applauded a Nazi, somebody who fought beside the Nazis, fought with Hitler against Russia. Trudeau and Zelensky stood side by side and applauded him. I'll pull up the footage. And to date, we went to the Morgan Wallen concert the other night. Some of you know I posted some stuff about it. And we were there with some folks that flew in from Canada, and they came to the concert. They just flew in for the concert. I thought that was real cool. It was a hell of a long way to come for a concert. But by the way, I'm never going to another concert in Allegiant Stadium ever again. The sound was terrible. It just sounded like someone yelling through a bus station, like a really large or airport. There's a large, imagine you standing in the corner of an empty warehouse and trying to hear what someone's saying. It was terrible. It was. The show was cool. The sound was terrible. I went there once before to see Def Leppard, Poison, Motley Crue, and Joan Jett. The sound was better with them, but if this is how it is, I'm never going back there ever. So here we go. I like smaller venues anyway. I like much smaller venues, especially when it comes to stuff like that, because I like hearing what they're I like hearing them, and I like interacting with the artists. Aaron Lewis on a hell of a show because of that, because he actually interacts with the crowd. And that's why I'll go to like Red Rock, Green Valley, the Pearl down at the Palms. It's great places to go see shows, but not there. It's trash. Let's take a look at this. So what you're getting ready to see here is Zelensky.
Chamber today, Ukrainian Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians.
Who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians in World War II? I'll wait. Anyone know the answer? So they knew who they were applauding. It's not like we made a mistake. No, they didn't make a mistake. They made a purpose. They knew exactly who they were honoring, what they were doing, and they brought a Nazi out and they applauded him. Let's take a look.
And continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98.
There's Zelensky. As you'll see right here, see it? That's Zelensky and that's Trudeau standing to applaud a guy who fought alongside the Nazis. They were part of Russia, then support our rights. That's why they had a separatist group that were in Ukraine fighting for Ukrainian independence at that stage of the game during World War II. And that's what he was there fighting against. And they were fighting on two fronts, which is obviously why Hitler lost that war. He was spread himself too thin, and Russia was able to counter him. But yeah, there they are right there, clapping for a guy that fought alongside the Nazi regime. To date, no apology has been issued. They're just trying to act like that didn't happen. They're just trying to act like that didn't happen. Oh, that won't happen again. Oh, here, look at the excuses. Look at the excuses. The parliament changed after that and new vetting processes were put in so that thing doesn't happen again. Bullshit. They told you who he fought for, who he fought against, and where he fought at, and the war he fought in. All of that was mapped out prior to those knuckleheads standing up and clapping for this guy. So don't act like he was innocent. Don't act like they didn't know what they were standing up for, because they full well knew exactly who they were standing for, exactly what they were clapping for, and they quite obviously loved the guy. That's simple. No excuses involved. But yeah, that's who Zelensky is. The same Zelensky that got rid of freedom of religion in his country, got rid of the free press, right? He canceled elections. But we're supporting democracy, though. You know, at this stage of the game, like I said, I wonder what the difference is. I wonder what the difference is between Putin and Zelensky ideologically at this point. I don't see any. I don't see any ideological differences between these two guys. They're exactly the same damn person. To go against their people, to shut down their ability to worship God, to get rid of the free press, to cancel elections. Remember, not long ago, Putin was a president and made himself a prime minister, so he'd be in a lifetime appointment. Now there are presidents under him, but he's there in power consistently. Medvedev and all those other people that came in as presidents after him still have to answer to him. So they really don't have any type or kind of a democracy over there. It's still very much communism. So with that said, I mean, look at what's going on over in the UK now because of their policies and the things that they've done in the when it comes to immigration, right? They have, their people are suffering badly. Let's see, in the streets. If you take a look at any one of these videos, you'll find people that are just saying the quiet part out loud, like they don't care anymore. They do not care anymore. These people are vicious. And not only are they vicious, but listen to the things that they're saying, right? Listen to the things that they're saying and realize not long ago, these people came there to be a part of their country, to assimilate, to immigrate there, to, you know what I mean? But that's not what they're doing. Not what they're doing at all. Look.
Ali Assad said police advised his community to stay away to reduce tensions.
The plan that we've worked with the local authorities is that our community members will be protecting all places of worship, like even the Hindu temple and the Gurdwaras as well. It's not just the mosque.
From early morning, hundreds of officers drafted in, Northumbria, of course, but a large contingent from Gwent, South Wales, as well as neighbouring forces like Durham. The use of special stop and search powers very much in evidence. In one case, 10 officers to search one person. Manpower shortage, it appears, not an issue here.
In the early days of these anti-immigrant riots, there were accusations from some that...
I want you to look and notice something about these guys, right? If you look on their hips, and I'm going to rewind this just a second, I want you to notice something. There are no guns. There are no guns. They got these little sticks and that sort of like nightclub type things. No damn guns.
Which flags to protest, they said, against immigration.
They're leaving their women and children at home. If they were that frightened for their safety, they'd send their women and children and fight for their country back.
How do you know they're
unchecked? Loads of men coming across here are looking for war. They're not looking for peace, are they?
When people accuse you of being a racist, what do you say?
A racist? I'm not a racist. I'm just against what's happening.
I'm a concerned grandparent about illegal and unfettered immigration and the exploitation of our country.
People say, but are you a racist, sir?
Whoa!
That's what people say. People accuse the...
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
No, that's not the case. So I want you to answer that. What's
No,
your answer?
No, I'm not. I've got plenty of foreign friends, black friends, Asian friends. Look at all the people here.
No.
Are we all what we...
But what happens when you have unfettered, unchecked immigration into your country before long, the ideological stances of your country have all become compromised to the level that when they outnumber you, now they're putting Sharia law into place in their country. In some portions of the UK, it's illegal for you to crack your Bible and read it in specific quarters. You'll get arrested. You will get arrested. This is a foreshadowing of what's going to happen here. This is a foreshadowing of what's coming here. So if you think that this is just something, if you think this is just something you're going to see on TV and it's never going to affect you, that's not true. And it is not even that far off. Look at what Tim Walz did. Let's just go back to Tim Walz, because here we go again. The 8-point star is replacing all of the symbology of our state flags. Many state flags have already been changed by groups, unelected groups that have the power to do that, changing the artwork, changing everything about the flag. and putting these things up with 8-point stars on them, which 8-point stars are an Islamic symbol. Minnesota changed their flag to have the 8-point star on it. Sports teams, high school names, all of these things are starting to change right under our nose. This is what me and Maurice are fighting about with the Redmen being made to change their name in Utah. With those ladies out there fighting that tooth and nail, those guys are just, I love those guys. They are very tenacious. And it takes a community to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen. It takes a community. We have to stand up. We have to fight. We have to get on state boards. We have to get on city councils. We have to start taking the process of making sure that we're able to make decisions in our community, in our cities, very seriously. And that means you, the regular person, you need to go run and get on these boards. Go get you a seat. If you give a damn about your community, if you care, get some of these regular people to run, everyday folks. Because what happens more often than not is you get a senator or a congressman or somebody in a position of power that realizes how important these offices are. And they just start appointing people to run. Hey, go snatch that seat up. Go run for that. And so what they do is they end up with unchecked power, from the city council and state reps all the way up to your senator and congressman for that state. And that's not how it should be. It's not how it should be. Look, Russia has Sharia law. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Russia would not allow Islam to be practiced in their country. That's a fact. They have a state-ran religion, a Russian Orthodox Church. That is where you're allowed to worship. That's it, and that's all. Period. Yeah. You should educate yourself before you open your mouth again. So no, this is definitely going to this is definitely possible, not necessarily probable, to happen here in the United States. And if you think Russia has Sharia law, show your receipts, because I just looked it up and I'll look it up again and I'll show you the results. Absolutely show you the results. In some Muslim majority regions of Russia, local leaders have implemented certain practices and policies influenced by by Islamic traditions. However, these are generally localized and do not constitute Sharia law, as it is implemented in some predominantly Muslim countries. So Sharia law has never been enacted within Russia. The Russian federal government maintains authority over all legal system, and Sharia law is not a part of the official legal Russia framework. And I'm reading that right here. I'm literally looking at it. There's not one city, one province, one place within Russia that practices Sharia law. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Now, what do we do about this? How are we going to change it? It's said that if we lose this election, the America that we know and love is gone. Because once they enact full-on socialism, you're not going to vote your way out of that. That's not something that you can just vote your way out of. I mean, they're already changing. The guy who's been in office for damn near 50 years put term limits on the Supreme Court of the United States, but not on Congress. I mean, I literally ran into a Supreme Court justice on my way out to Carson City for work. And she shared the same plane as me. In fact, she was the first African-American, Chinese descent to be affirmed as to a Supreme Court justice position. And I had a great conversation with her. I mean, she didn't want to take political biases toward either side. She kept it like this, and I respect that because of the position that she holds. But she said, your opinion is definitely valid, because I said it in an airport around a whole bunch of people as we were all talking. And of course I got dirty looks. Liberals hate being challenged. They don't like it. They do not like it when we have opinions. They don't mind having their own in public, but my God, it's only controversial when a conservative speaks. It's only controversial when we use common sense and truth, and they don't. So, yeah, let's take a look here at this comment. So it's already here, honestly, clearly demonstrated in the courts of law during the Trump hearings. Speech is no longer free. It's only allowed when directed and regulated. You know what? I mean, there's a lot of truth in that statement. And that's why I think what Elon Musk did was so historical, by opening Twitter up and allowing us a platform to have free speech, just like Rumble. Yeah, I can't thank those guys enough for what they do, giving us a platform where they don't stifle free speech and dissent. I don't know if you're watching this on Rumble, but if you're not, do us a favor, go over to Rumble and give us a follow. That's where we'd like to see everyone is on the Rumble page. So it's rumble.com/the Patriots Prayer. Go there, give us a follow, say what's up. You can support the Patriots Prayer Network there as well. And guys, you know, we would appreciate it if you did. But I mean, listen, we got a lot of stuff in the works, and we're doing a lot. I'm going to have Ann Funder. You heard Ann. She was at the the RNC, the DNC. She's going to pop me in the head. She was at the RNC, and she gave an amazing speech. She gave an absolutely amazing speech at the RNC. Let's take a little brief look that speech, right? And listen to a little bit of Ann. Now, Ann is going to be on the Patriots Prayer Network, and we'll be seeing her starting to stream next week. It'll be next week. Here we go.
My name is Ann Fundner, and I am the wife and mother of 4 children. I'm standing here today to share the tragic reality of open borders. I'm here to share the story of my firstborn son, my everything, my Weston. My family and I were living in Southern California when President Biden took office and opened our borders. My Weston was 15. He was an amazing big brother to his 3 younger siblings. Weston attended church twice a week, played football and hockey, and he loved to surf. He had a big heart, and he lived to make people laugh. He had so many good friends. And I was always vigilant to be the best mother that I could be. I was room mom, school ambassador, and I attended all of his sports. We had family dinners and barbecues at the beach. And like most teenagers, Weston wanted to fit in. And in a moment of peer pressure, he tried something that someone gave to him, and it took my baby's life. We did everything right. I had those conversations with him, and fentanyl still found my son. And on February 20th,
I can't watch that anymore. It's extremely hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie. That's extremely hard to watch. That was a heartfelt speech when she gave it, and my wife and I both teared up listening to that. That speech alone should have been enough to understand why we need security at our border, why we shouldn't allow this onslaught of illegal immigration, why we shouldn't allow these attacks on our culture, why we should be protecting our kids. Laken Riley would be alive if we just had the rule of law implemented instead of playing politics, instead of pushing agendas. DAs like Gascon should never hold positions they hold when the decision to whether or not they are going to enforce the law is determined by the color of your skin, your age, or your sex or religion. We're a country of laws. And one of the things that Trump said when dealing, excuse me, that speech just gets me every damn time. One of the things Trump said that I just can't wait to see him enact was he said that these people that have all these sanctuary cities, he said if they don't want to enforce federal law, then they don't need federal funding. And that just makes sense to me. That just makes sense. It should make sense to you as well. So, yeah, if you don't want to enforce, the Dems did not try to pass some bipartisan bill. I already went over that. There's this troll over here that's half educated on anything at all, trying to say that they try to pass a bipartisan border bill when not looking into all the pork spending that was attached to the bill, which is why the Republicans didn't vote for it, when the same exact bill was put forth by the Republicans months earlier, almost to the T, same bill. They didn't want to pass it. Then they rewrote the bill and put a bunch of billions of dollars of pork spending that had nothing to do with border security in the bill, and the Republicans didn't want to pass it. And then they said, look, the Republicans don't want bipartisan border patrol. No, we don't want your pork spending. We don't want our inflation to the level that it is now. We don't want our children attacked. We want our border secure. We want our country secure. We want our elections secure. We don't want socialism. Anyone who practices socialism or fights for socialism is, by definition, a seditionist. You cannot be a socialist and not be a seditionist. You must first throw away the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and every amendment to enact a socialist style government. The practice that was already talked about by people like Klaus Schwab at the WEF when he said, you'll own nothing and you'll like it. And then they try to use this little catchphrase of having your labor exploited. Well, your labor is not exploited. And this is a catch line to make it seem like, well, we're going to give you the ability to fight back against corporations and everything. But when in fact, it's like taking, if I see a fly on the wall of my barn and I take a shotgun to kill the fly, and when I kill the fly, what am I going to do? I'm going to blow a big hole in the side of my barn, but the fly's dead, maybe. This is what that approach causes. All you got to do is use common sense legislation, change laws that make it fair for the little guy. You don't need labor unions funneling money into political parties to get paid back in contracts, because what you do is you create a power vacuum and people fill that power vacuum, and then they misuse those funds and it turns into something it was never intended to be. The Department of Labor needs to be fixed. It needs to be funded. It needs to be regulated correctly, properly. And you don't need all these other things. The idea that we need to raise minimum wage to a livable wage, which sounds all good and fine and dandy, but when the cost of living and inflation is through the roof, and the places of business like McDonald's and every other fast food joint, Walmart, and everyone else, all you're going to see is people in corporations and big business doing more with less, because they can't afford to operate and have the same profit margins as they had before in order to continue to run the way that they always have. Because, not because of what they're doing, but because capital gains tax is higher, payroll tax is higher. People that don't know, don't run a business. If you hire an employee, let's say they make a menial wage $40,000, $40,000, right? Let's say $40,000. By the time the employer pays that $40,000 salary to have that employee and the taxes that go along with it, he's paid about $70,000 per year for that employee. That's the way it works. That's the way this progressive tax system that penalizes people for doing well works. It's not until you get into the extremely astronomical wealthy atmosphere of money that you can start finding different kinds of tax loopholes that might protect you. And Donald Trump is famous for saying to Hillary Clinton, yeah, but you won't change the laws and close those loopholes because your donors enjoy the same benefits I do. And he was 100% right. And he was 100% right. But for the little guy, right? The blue collar worker, they get taxed in the middle. The poor don't pay any taxes. The rich pay over 40% of all taxes in the country. That 1% of people pay over almost half of all the taxes for the entire country. If I make somewhere between, if I make $70,000 a year and then I get a raise to $80,000 a year, sounds like I'd be making more money, right? Wrong. I just entered into another tax bracket. And as a result, my taxable income goes up. My taxes go up with it. So what I have to do to protect my money is put it into an IRA or 401k. So, and I can put the maximum into either one and make that non-taxable income. Democrats are even trying to come for that now. You should not get penalized for doing well. I don't understand why we have not, to this day, still enacted a fair tax system. It never will make any sense. Remember, one of our first biggest wars that we had to fight in this country was over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage. But now our same dollar is taxed 10 ways to Sunday, and we're perfectly calm about it. Okay with it, even justify it in our own minds. What about the firemen and the police and the trash pickup and all that kind of stuff? Well, that's what your sales tax for. The Constitution literally says there shall be no tax made upon your labor. What's federal income tax? Let me ask you another question. If you want to make a constitutional amendment, how many votes do you need? Let me answer that for you. 2/3 of the legislative body for a federal constitutional amendment needs to be 2/3. Go look at how many people voted for the 16th Amendment. The ratification of the 16th Amendment is one of those iffy topics because it was never truly ratified correctly, and it was just made into law. And what it did was it created this organization that operates above and outside of the law, that doesn't need to go see a judge to put a levy on your wages or a lien on anything or a judgment or freeze your assets. It's the IRS. They operate with impunity, and now they want to give them guns. Hire 87,000 more agents and arm them. What for? Why does the IRS need to be a fighting force? Why do they need to be a law enforcement agency? Why are they trying to push ESG? Why are PayPal and others pushing these policies that if they catch you espousing what they call or consider misinformation, that they just fine you? And if you run a business and you have money in PayPal or whatever, they really did this. They put this out there that they would just fine you $2,500 to just take it. And you have to agree to it to have a PayPal account. So your terms of service, it's in there. I don't know if it's still in there. I do know that they tried to push this before. And ESG to be taxed on your carbon footprint. I mean, are we really heading into a day and a time when if we dissent against our government or disagree with them, that we're literally going to be under federal surveillance? Well, let's ask Tulsi Gabbard that question. Let's ask Tulsi Gabbard that question. She criticized the and I'm not necessarily Tulsi Gabbard, supporter. I think that what she says nowadays has a lot of common sense, but I can tell you I have PTSD from people who claim to be conservatives and do other things once given the opportunity to be conservative. Look at Mike Johnson. Look at Mike Pence. Look at a lot of conservatives. They fake the funk, get into a position of power, and go left. And being as though she started out on the left, I'm just in a wait and see. I'm just being honest. I'm in a wait and see moment with her. I don't disagree with anything she says right now. I can tell you if the things that she says is true, we vibe, me and her vibe. But until she's put into a position to actually see whether or not that's what she does, I'm going to wait and see. Yeah, regardless of the party, should be completely outraged over what they did to her. Yeah, 100%. Now, I know other people that were on the Quiet Skies list, right? Terror watch list. Ivan Raiklan was on it. He's been removed from it. You know, and to say you criticize the Biden administration, that you go on this Quiet Skies list, this is ridiculous. This is the damn Gestapo. Is this America anymore? Are we still in the land of the free and the home of the brave? Because I don't see too many brave people. Not in office. This is why we like people like MTG. Someone that'll just turn right around and blast you. Go F yourself. You know, you might not like the language, but I love the passion. Love the passion. That's why I was glad I walked into the room in Atlanta when we got inside, and I turned around and she's sitting in her little room preparing for her speech when she goes on stage. And I walked into the room. We talked for a minute or so, and it was really cool. She agreed to come on the podcast. We reached out to her people. We're trying to line up a time and day to do that, and it's going to be great. I mean, I really like MTG. I like how brash she is. I like I want to see her give AOC the people's elbow. That's what I want. I want to see the girl fight in Congress. I'm not lying, man. I'm not lying. These how hard would it be for someone who actually gives a shit about their country to sit next to Jamie Raskin? To sit next to him as he says the stupid, just absolute asinine things that come out of his mouth, and remain calm, right? This is the reason why I didn't go to the Kamala Harris event last night, when I wanted to cover it and see what kind of stupidity was being espoused there. But here's another one, right? And is somebody who spoke at Kamala Harris's event. And this is what she said, essentially. She said teaching in school, right? With me? Teaching is a way to enforce social justice and change. So basically, she's indoctrinating kids in the classroom. That she's admitting to it. Listen.
All teachers like me. Growing up, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher because I saw education for what it really was, the greatest instrument of social justice in this country.
Yeah. It was the greatest instrument of social justice in this country. Yeah. That's right. They're indoctrinating the kids at the school level, and they're bragging about it. They're absolutely bragging about it. And I will find out who the teacher is. I'm going to find out her name. She obviously teaches somewhere in this city. I'm going to make it a point. I'm going to make it a point to expose what she said. I'm going to really drive this home. I'm going to Facebook pages. I'm going to school board meetings. If she's there, I'm going. You're going to see this. I'm going. We don't armchair quarterback here, folks. So I'm in this fight for real. And the fact that she said that openly on a stage tells you exactly these people are and who they are. Look, this right here. I don't know who made this. I don't know who you are that made this, but geez, this is so spot on, funny and everything else. But watch this. You guys are going to kick out of this.
She has brought back compassion and decency and humor and joy to our politics. So Arizona, bring that joy with you. Bring those smiles. Bring that positive future as you join me. She has brought back.
I love that. That is classic. I don't know who thought to make that, but that is classic. I love that. That is absolutely cool. And this one I liked as well. Someone created this picture. They put it up there was a no tax on tips. So they Trumpified her since she obviously, likes his policies and wants to, take credit for things that he said, things that he wanted. So yeah, this is and then there's a guy by the name of Eric Prince, who's the founder of Blackwater. If you remember, Blackwater is a mercenary group. I mean, they were made famous about the time the Iraq war was going on. And there was some problems with Trump's plane. He had to make an emergency landing. And this guy made this speech and he put it out there. And the thing is that I don't disagree with the speech. But listen to what he said.
Plea to President Trump. He's got to hunker down in Mar-a-Lago for the next week, while only those closest to him, only the very people that he trusts the most, reinvestigate everyone surrounding his security detail, everyone involved in his security detail, everyone involved in the maintenance of his plane, anyone that comes anywhere near President Trump needs to be revetted and reinvestigated. This after an emergency landing of Trump Force One. Folks, the Democrats will stop at nothing. They want this man dead. They will do everything they can to stop him from getting into the White House.
Yeah, and that's the truth. They will. We've all said it. And let's talk about fascism, since this person wants to bring fascism up in the comments. Let's first of all, let's go get the textbook definition of fascism. And then let's talk about who the fascists are. What is fascism? So let's just go for the textbook definition. An authoritarian political ideology that emphasizes dictatorial power, centralized control of private enterprise. Centralized control, that means government control of business. What political party wants people to own the labor and dictate how business operates to that degree? I wonder which one that one is. Suppress political opposition. What party censored their political opposition? I'm glad that Garden got shut down today after Elon Musk sued their pants off for censoring conservative views, using advertising dollars to do it, to force social platforms into censoring people from the political right. So that's a left thing too, right? So just the tenets based off of that, the tenets of fascism seem to be applied to one side of the political aisle, not the right who preaches individuality, not the right that is pushing free speech. But fascism is characterized by an extreme nationalism, often accompanied by militarism and a belief in the supremacy of a specific group of people. Now, who did that? Because that sounds a lot like Antifa. Who's censoring? The left is censoring. Who is going after their political opposition? We just went through a story where Tulsi Gabbard is now on the Quiet Skies list, on the terror watch list, because she criticized Biden. Parents have been followed from school board meetings. Churchgoers have been investigated for their beliefs, all by one political party. One political party who used Section 702 to spy on their own citizens illegally over 250,000 times. Go look at the congressional hearing where they were called out for it. And the person that says conservatives are responsible for censoring more. No, not one time. Not one single time have conservatives ever been responsible for censoring political speech. Now, we have made them take certain perverted books out of school libraries, and as we should. And we also made it to where that they can't teach in certain states sexuality to children below a certain grade level. Absolutely should. That's exactly the way it should be. I want no one teaching my kindergarten or my third grader things that should be taught at home. That's where values are learned. You want to know what you teach at school? Reading, writing, arithmetic, and textbook history. Not the 1619 Project, not CRT. So I don't want to hear that crap that the right censors and the right goes after people for political speech, because they don't. So I really appreciate you hanging out with me today, brother. This was an unplanned live, and just felt like I needed to put something out there. And I think I'm going to start doing a third show on this day each and every week, where I just get on here and just kind of go through the headlines and whatever's on my chest and get it out. I think next week, though, when I do this on this day, I'm going to have Ann Funder come on, and that's where I'm going to introduce her to you guys next week, next Sunday. I think that's when I'll do. Well, hold up. Next Sunday is the 18th. So maybe not next Sunday, because we'll be coming back from Eagle, Idaho at that point. I wish I could have, found out in time to get her to Eagle, Idaho, because she had been a nice one to have out there. I would have liked to have heard her speak, even though it chokes me up every time she speaks. So I'm going to have her on. It will be next week, maybe the middle of this week. Maybe I talk to Maurice. Maybe we have her on Wednesday on our show. You know what? I will. That's what we'll do. Talk to her, have her on Wednesday. Look forward to that. So we will have her on. And we're just getting her branding ready. As you saw, if you guys go to our YouTube channel, and we don't really, how much we're loved over there. YouTube, Rumble, X channels. I'm in the middle of rebranding everything, and we got a lot of changes that we're trying to make right now, and those changes are just going to be help us get to the next level, the next phase. I'm in the talks with a couple of people about probable sponsorships from larger, more well-known companies. This people that can help us get to the next level, and people that have a value system like we do, people that care about the things that we care about and fight for the things that we fight for, just like Smoke and Gun Coffee. So, as a matter of fact, before I get out of here, before I close out, let's pay homage to those guys, because they have been an asset. I can't even tell you how cool they have been to us, and just the things that they've helped us with, and travel and things like that when we were going around to these different events. And they just been, it's Milam and his father over there, just absolutely amazing people. Guys, they support us, so won't you support them? Go to Smoke and Gun Coffee. Check out this commercial. We'll be right back afterwards.
Born in the coastal plains of South Texas, Smoke and Gun Coffee is founded by combat veterans that know exactly what a cup of coffee needs to taste like. Run by father and son, each coffee bean is perfected, roasted at 500 degrees, and cooled with a Gulf Coast breeze. Smoke and Gun Coffee hand makes and bags each ounce of coffee for maximum customer satisfaction. With every purchase, 10% goes back to organizations that help veterans and local communities. That's Texas made, one bag at a time. To find out more, go to www.smokingguncoffee.com.
So guys, if you haven't already, go get you some Smoke and Gun Coffee. They have done us a great favor right there. This whole studio, I mean, it smells like this. I love this stuff. So this is the one they private labeled for us. This is the Patriots Prayer Dark Roast. The coffee club is $39 per month, right? $39 per month. You can get 4 bags of coffee for $39 per month. And it just shows up. You don't have to go on and keep ordering. It just get it one time. Pay it out. It just comes out $39 per month. That's not a lot. If you're a coffee drinker, like I drink 3-4 cups a day. That's a fact. And this stuff right here is absolutely amazing. I'm not saying that because they support us, but they actually take pride in what they do. It's actually amazing coffee. And I like the bold stuff. I like the dark roast. I really do. And go get you some. That's all I got to say. They've been amazing sponsors, and we have a long-term relationship with them, and we love them. Others, if you don't espouse our values and you don't believe the things that we believe, we will die on principle. The Patriots Prayer will die on principle. If you make an agreement with us and you break it, or you try to hustle us, or we'll drop your ass in a heartbeat as a sponsor. I don't care how much you pay us. We've turned down TV shows and bigger sponsorships as a result of such tactics. All you got to do is ask yourself who we're not advertising anymore. So, guys, listen, we absolutely love hanging out with you guys. I want to say a big resounding thank you to Leslie and the McGroin Nation guys over there. Everyone who hung out with me through this entire live. Guys, thank you so much. I wouldn't do this without you. Yeah, I would. I would talk to myself in a room alone if I had to, just to get it out. I'll be honest. It's true. But if you guys knew how much work that went on behind the scenes for all this, you would understand. I'm trying to do a lot with developing other shows and other talent, talking, doing the business side of it, doing the branding side of it. I got a lot on my plate. And so, coming on here and hanging out with you guys is just the fruits of my labor. And I absolutely appreciate every single one of you, whether you agree with me or not, who hung out for the live. And I will make it a regular thing. So just, I think I'll let Elena know. Elena modifies our website to put me on the calendar for Sunday, because I feel the need. Doing the Monday and the Wednesday, it's cool, and it gives me a little more free time back, but I just get an itch to want to come on and hang out. And so we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And as usual, guys, like I always say, the silent majority, you need to stop being silent and stand your ground. That is not a joke. That is the reality of what needs to happen. Don't care who's present when you tell your truth. You tell it. You say it. I don't care if you're in court, if you're in church. It doesn't matter where you are. Stand up for what you believe and speak it out loud with pride. Evil will never retreat willingly. It must, in every case, be beaten back. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time with me and my co-host, the Native Patriot, get together for the next episode of the Patriots Prayer. You guys have a great weekend.
This is the Patriots Prayer podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
Soon on the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.
America's falling, they all say. Gather the faithful now and pray. The Patriots Prayer. The Patriots Prayer. All the wicks are trimmed, oil is filled to the brim.
So I forgot to end at the end of that. Guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you Monday, 6 p.m. Have a great one.